there everybody, this is the intro video for a series of videos I'm putting out on my improvements that I've made to the GM Sandbox over the last 4 months. These improvements, these other videos will take you through the details of the improvements, but first of all we have a better transition system which allows us to transition not only left, right, up and down but diagonally, and the new sector system as well makes that a lot easier to accomplish. You no longer have to define separate transition events for every sector and then tell the script exactly where to go like you did in the previous system. So it's much easier to work with. The code is a lot cleaner now, as clean as can be with the XML parser that's used for this game's missions. Well, maybe not as clean as can be, that's a claim and a half. Much cleaner, and to a point where I'm kind of happy with it. On top of that, so you've got the transitions, we've got the new sector system, we have a sector generator. Previously random sector stuff was done by having a few different versions of what asteroids could look like in a sector, what nebulae could look like in a sector, and what stations and things would look like in a sector, and then just layering them on top of one another. So you would end up having maybe, if you had 4 different versions of every aspect of the game, you would end up with like many possibilities of combinations. I didn't think that was the best way to go about it, and so I've made a random sector generator that takes into account things like the sector infrastructure, the sector security level, and that helps you calculate the activity level in general, whether there is conflict, whether there are stations, whether there's a trade route like the one just right here, and things like that. So it's much more dynamic. We're actually in a random sector just now. You can see that the nebulae and asteroids are kind of just dotted around. This is a fairly sparse sector, of course, and it's one I've never seen before, as you can imagine, because it's randomly generated, and so that's nice and fresh every time we use it. We kind of jump into a completely new space to play. There is now a new ship generator, there is a fleet generator, there's a planet generator like the one I'm sitting in front of just now, and so there's a whole lot of stuff on the back end of the game, or the mission anyway, the mission script, which helps these things come together. I've built a ton of utilities that allow for things like storing of an object's position. Previously you could only reference it, now you can store it and do calculations with it rather than just testing against it. There's a greater input, a user input system. So there is currently, stock in the game, there's a command for taking GM control input and client control input. I built a utility which allows you to input greater numbers. So just as an example here, I'm going to put myself using the menu system. There's also a better menu system as well, improved in a number of ways. I'm going to put myself into a different system. So, oh no, I'm a totally different side and I'm going to get shot. Alright, there we go. So this is the Dionysus system. If I wanted to go to one of the sectors in the Dionysus system, I would press my Q button to go to sector select, and you can see here it says input the number of the sector you wish to jump to, 0 to system maximum, and then confirm space. Now the system maximum is something you can define, but my point here is there are multiple numbers. It's not just one number you put in, so I'm going to put in sector 16, so 1 and 6, and then press space, and I shall end up at sector 16, which in this system is, I'm on the z-axis of 2. Anyway, you'll get to understand all of that. Also for things like spawning ships, I said there was a new ship spawner. There is actually also a spawn ship command here which allows you to input codes. There's going to be a cheat sheet, well there already is a cheat sheet I'm going to put out, with all the inputs here. So we've got hull type faction inside, so I'm just going to get us a random mining ship, I think it is, mining ship on the Scarran side. I've entered 4 numbers and now we've got a Scarran mining ship. Things like that, very, very easy to use. Same with fleets, spawn fleet. I'm going to have a combat fleet, which is fleet type 3, and again I'm going to put on the Scarran side, so that's just 3 numbers this time, and it'll start spawning me a Scarran fleet. Because I'm recording, it takes a little while sometimes, and there are a number of things going on in the background to make that Scarran fleet happen, but here we have a Scarran combat fleet with a bunch of combat ships. And they'll just keep spawning until they're finished. I never defined a number of ships for it to spawn, so it will spawn anywhere between 1 and 20. I think it's 1 and 12 actually. But you can define as many ships you want. Anyway, point is, the input system is greatly improved so that you can add many numbers. You can also see on my left screen that the server is running very slow, or rather, it's kind of jumpy there. The main screen is not affected by this, obviously, because the server is doing the work. The client side is doing none of the work. So that's kind of to be expected. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. But if you want to have a main screen that's nice and smooth, use a main screen, because it's nice and smooth. On top of that, we also have things like customizable wormholes and tractor beams now. So you can look forward to obviously using them. The wormhole system, wormholes are usually like manually defined, and they're quite kind of arduous to set up in a mission. With the system I've put in, you can define a system, define like whatever content of the sectors you want, and then set your wormhole to any position you want. So just as an example, I think I'm in sector 16, so let's set up a wormhole. Wormhole there is one of the menu options. Set location, so I'm going to set location of the wormhole 1, which 1 and 2 are connected. So wormhole 1, we're in the Dionysus sector, so it's Dionysus system. So Dionysus system there, just going to select that. Going to make it sector 16. I know it says 1 to 16, it lies, I haven't updated that menu yet. And so sector 16, and I'm going to right click here and then press space. And so I've just set the position of wormhole 1. Now if I turn on the wormholes by toggling them on or open, there's that wormhole. And if I warp through that, I'm just going to jump myself somewhere because I don't want to fly over there. If I jump through that, I will end up probably, I think it's Dionysus sector 3. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, I'm still stuck in the wormhole. And I closed the wormhole because it still had the menu open. Anyway, there we go. Jumped out of the wormhole in a different sector that's loading up now. And if I wanted to, I could change the position of that and end up in a totally different place on the fly. So that's the power of the wormholes now. And the tractor beam system is done in such a way that you can tractor beam any object that the GM can select. So stations, if you really wanted to do that, but ships, moreover, and objects like wrecks and monsters and things. If you wanted to tractor beam them, you absolutely could. And there's a little reticle which helps you do that. So that's been long enough for an intro, I think. So we've got a bunch of things to talk about, and the next upcoming videos will hopefully shed some light if you're interested in the further details. Goodbye.